The morning sun filtered through the dusty windows of Jefferson High, a school known not for academic brilliance but for the chaos that often consumed its hallways. Students pushed, laughed, shouted, and sometimes fought openly in the corridors while teachers either looked away or tried and failed to maintain order. This school had a reputation, and in that reputation bullies thrived like weeds in an untended garden. Into this storm stepped Hannah Lee, a new teacher. A young woman with calm eyes, neatly tied hair, and a quiet confidence that didn't quite fit the environment she was walking into. She carried a single bag, a stack of books, and her appointment letter that gave her the title of English teacher for Class 10B, a class notorious for swallowing teachers alive. Hannah had heard whispers before she accepted the position. She knew the students were tough, many came from broken homes, and the bullies practically ran the place. But she hadn't come here to give up. She had come because she believed in strength. Not just the strength of the body, but the strength of discipline, the strength of respect. What no one in the school knew yet was that behind her gentle smile was the training of a Taekwondo black belt, years of dedication to a martial art that had shaped her spirit more than her fists. The first bell rang and Hannah entered her classroom. The noise was overwhelming. Boys shouting across desks, girls throwing crumpled paper, the scrape of chairs on the floor, and laughter at a volume that made the walls tremble. She walked to the teacher's desk, but no one noticed. She stood for a few seconds, observing the wild energy, and then cleared her throat. "Good morning, class." Her voice was polite, steady, and warm. A few students turned, looked at her, and then went back to their conversations. Marcus, the leader of the bullies, leaned back in his chair with his feet on the desk, smirking at her as if she was a joke. "Look, guys," he said loudly, "a fresh victim. Another teacher to break in." The class roared with laughter. Hannah didn't flinch. She set her books on the desk, straightened them neatly, and repeated in the same calm tone, "Good morning, class." This time more students noticed her composure. Some even quieted slightly out of curiosity. But Marcus wasn't having it. He took a paper ball, aimed, and threw it at her. It hit her shoulder. The class erupted again. Hannah simply picked up the paper, placed it in the trash, and continued, "I know this class has a reputation. I know many of you think teachers don't last here. But I am not going anywhere. So let's begin." For a moment, there was silence, an unusual silence in this classroom, but Marcus hated silence when it didn't belong to him. He stood up, sauntered toward her, and ripped the attendance sheet from her hand. "You don't give orders here," he sneered. "We run this place." His crew whistled and clapped. Hannah looked into his eyes, and instead of fear, Marcus saw calmness. That unnerved him. He pushed further. He grabbed her jacket, tugged at it in front of everyone, expecting her to stumble back or scream. That was the moment the room changed. Hannah didn't resist with words. Instead, in one smooth motion almost too fast to register, she shifted her stance, grasped Marcus's wrist, and with precise technique flipped him over her shoulder. The thud of his back hitting the floor echoed in the stunned classroom. Silence fell like a heavy curtain. Every student froze, mouths wide, eyes locked on the new teacher who now stood over their leader. Hannah didn't strike. She didn't shout. She held Marcus's wrist firmly but gently, applying just enough pressure to keep him on the ground without hurting him. Then she released and stepped back. Marcus scrambled up, his pride wounded more than his body. But before he could say anything, Hannah spoke. "Taekwondo is not about fighting, it is about respect. Marcus, I will not allow you to disrespect me, yourself, or anyone in this room again." Her words cut through the air, sharper than any strike. The class remained silent, still absorbing what had just happened. The teacher they thought would crumble in fear had just destroyed their strongest bully with grace and control. The rest of the lesson passed with an unusual stillness. Some students pretended to write, others just stared at Hannah as if she were from another world. Marcus sulked in the back, humiliated but strangely thoughtful. After class ended, whispers ran through the hallways. She threw Marcus like he was nothing. "Did you see her move?" "That was crazy!" "She's not normal." By lunchtime, every corner of the school buzzed with the story. Hannah became a mystery, a legend in less than a day. But legends often invite challenges, and the bullies were not ready to surrender their throne so easily. Marcus and his crew plotted revenge, their pride demanding payback. Still, Hannah walked the halls with calm confidence, acknowledging students, greeting staff, and showing no fear. What others didn't know was that Hana had faced challenges far tougher than teenage bullies. Her years of Taekwondo training had been filled with grueling hours, endless practice, sweat, and even defeat. She knew that real strength wasn't about overpowering others, it was about mastering oneself. And this school, chaotic as it was about to become her new dojo, her training ground not for herself, but for her students. She believed she could teach them more than grammar and literature. She could teach them respect, honor, and discipline. The next day, the bullies tried again, this time more subtly. They whispered insults during her lecture, tossed erasers across the room, and made mocking gestures. Hana ignored what didn't matter, addressing her lesson clearly and firmly. But when Marcus deliberately kicked over another student's chair, nearly causing them to fall, Hana acted. She walked over, crouched to pick up the chair, and then fixed Marcus with a steady gaze. "Strength is not shown by hurting others," she said, her voice low but cutting. "It is shown by protecting them." Some students shifted uncomfortably. The truth in her words landed heavier than expected. By the end of the week, Hana had earned a strange mix of reactions. Some students admired her, some feared her, and the bullies resented her but also couldn't stop thinking about the way she had handled Marcus. Teachers in the staff room whispered too. "Have you heard about the new teacher? She actually stood up to them." Impossible. No one stands up to Marcus. But it had happened, and Hana knew this was just the beginning. She also knew the storm was far from over. Marcus's humiliation burned in him like fire, and a fire that burns without control always seeks to consume. As Hana packed her things on Friday afternoon, she glanced out the window and saw Marcus and his crew standing near the school gates, watching her. Their eyes carried a promise of confrontation. Hana sighed softly but smiled. She was ready. She had faced opponents in tournaments, faced pressure from masters, faced her own fears on countless mats. This was no different. In fact, this was more important. These weren't just opponents. These were young men who still had a chance to learn, to change. She didn't see them as enemies. She saw them as lost students who needed guidance, even if that guidance had to begin with a throw to the floor. What Hana didn't know yet was that her actions in the coming weeks would ripple through the entire school. She was not just going to fight bullies. She was going to change them, and in doing so, she would change the lives of everyone around her. But before transformation comes resistance, and resistance was already waiting.